What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video of my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over the basketball games for Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And I wish you guys the best of luck on all your picks today. Let's go ahead and get into the games. We're going to be looking at the Hawks versus the Magic, Pistons versus Celtics, Wizards versus Pacers, Nets versus Knicks, Kings versus the Bulls, Trailblazers versus Grizzlies, Raptors versus Timberwolves, Spurs versus Thunder, Rockets versus the Suns, Nuggets versus Warriors, and Jazz versus the Lakers. So we got 11 games on the board. I'm going to go through these games pretty quickly. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on each one. Well, at least I'm going to try not to. Just kind of skim through all 11 of them. That way you don't have to watch a super long video. And at the same time, you're still kind of seeing both sides and what's going on with each side, numerically anyways. But on this side of the screen is what I call, right here is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers specific to the game. The way that I have it structured here is I have the road team, the away team up top, their coach's record, their season record, their away record, any other notes I want to add. In the middle is the head-to-head record between the two teams, all-time, regular season, and for this season in particular. Then at the bottom is the home team, their season record, their home record, their coach's record, and any other notes that I want to add to the game. So let's get into this real quick. Get through these games. Hawks and Magic we're going to start off with. Let me turn off my background light so it doesn't lose battery as I go through the video, since we'll be doing 11 games. It'll be a lot longer video than normal. All right, so Hawks versus Magic. Hawks versus Magic. So I usually start with the home team. Magic is the home team in this one. So we'll start the home team. I'll give you some numbers. And then for the Hawks, the away team, the road team, I'll give you some numbers for them. So starting with the Magic, if the Magic were going to win this game, one thing that the Magic has going for them potentially is that it's the 127th regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams. 127 mathematically is the 31st prime number. Hawks could pick up their 31st loss for this season. Today does have 40 and 60 date numerology on the Gregorian. This is Magic's 60th game for this season. They can get their 14th win for this season to go with. If you write out the number 14, it sums to 40. 14 sums to 40. So they can get their 40th win or 14th win in their 60th game on a day with 40 and 60 date numerology for the Gregorian. This is the last head-to-head matchup between these two teams for the season. So it's a revenge narrative for Magic. They can even the score 2-2, like 22 head-to-head against the Hawks. I know 22, if you write it out, sums to 42. Hawks coach can get his 42nd loss as a coach, specifically for the Hawks with the loss. And I think that's all I had for the Magic for right now. Oh, it's the 142nd all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams, as well as the 127th regular season. But the 142nd all-time, speaking of the number 42, 42 sums to 142. Hawks coach can get that 42nd regular season loss as a coach for his career. If we were to look at the Hawks, if the Hawks were going to win this game, today is the 15th day of the 6th month on the Hebrew Civil, like 156. And the number 28 written out sums to 156. And it could be a good shot for Hawks to get their 28th win for the season and their 28th road game. It is the 127th regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams. 127 is the 31st prime number. The Hawks could get their 31st loss for the season, or instead what they could do is become 3-1, like 31 head-to-head against the Magic for the season. with the win. 31, the 11th prime number. Hawks would get their 11th road win to go with. Today does have 24 date numerology on the Gregorian, 24 sums to 167. Hawks coach could get his 716th win regular season for his career. 716 is just an anagram of 167. And then today is the 47th day of the Gregorian. Magic can get their 47th loss for the season, potentially. So those are the numbers for that game. Let's keep it moving. Pistons versus the Celtics. Start with the home team, the Celtics. If the Celtics were going to win this game, one thing you can say is this is the 429th all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Pistons coach, he can get his 492nd loss regular season for his career. 492 is just an anagram of 429. Today does have 160 date numerology on the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. The Celtics can sit on 160 regular season losses, or 160 all-time losses against the Pistons with a win. The Celtics, they can get their 10th win in a row as they sit on 10 home losses to go with. And today does have 47 date numerology on the Gregorian. The numbers 47 and 25 are identical in all four base ciphers. Both of them sum to 149, the 35th prime number. The reason why I say that is because Celtics could become 35-25 for a season record with the win on the 47th day of the Gregorian. 47-25, identical in all four base ciphers. Both of them sum to 149, the 35th prime number. Those would be the numbers for the Celtics to win this game. If the Pistons were going to go ahead and win this game, one thing that you would say is that it is a revenge match for the Pistons. This is the second of 4 games that these two teams are playing each other for the season. So this could simply just be a revenge spot for Pistons. They can even the score 1-1 head-to-head against the Celtics for this season. This is the Celtics' 31st 31st home game. I don't know why it says away. Let's double check that. Yeah, it'll be their 31st home game. So it's the 31st home game. 31 is the 11th prime number. Celtics can get their 11th home loss as Pistons even the score 1-1 head-to-head like an 11. So there's opportunity for that. Pistons, they could become 13-45 for a season record with a win. 13, if you write out the number 13, it sums to 45. So it could just be a connection within each other for the record. Sums to 45 and 2 of the 4 base ciphers. 13 sums to 45. They could become 13-45 for a record. What else? Celtics can get their 26th loss. I didn't see anything for the 26th. At least nothing that just jumped out at me. 4, 6, 7. Let's see if that has any number properties. 4, 6, 7. 91st prime number. So that would go with them getting their 13th win. Because 91, 91st prime number, 91 is the 13th triangular number. So technically Pistons can get their 13th win while sitting on 45 losses. 13 sums to 45 as their coach gets a 467th win. The 91st prime number, 91 the 13th triangular number. So those would be some numbers for the Pistons. Let's move on to the next one. Pacers and Wizards. Wizards and Pacers. Pacers and Wizards. Start with the home team. If the Pacers were going to win this game, today does have 24 and 40 date numerology on the Gregorian. If you write out the number 24, it sums to 103. And the Pacers can pick up their 103rd regular season head-to-head win against the Wizards as Pacers sit on 40 losses for the season with the win. Pacers would pick up their 14th home win to go with, and we already know that the number 14 written out sums to 40. It's Pacers' 31st home game for the season. It could be a reason why the Wizards get their 31st loss for the season. 31 is the 11th prime number. Wizards would sit on 11 road wins with the loss to go with. Pacers would pick up their 20th win for this season, if you write out the number 20, it sums to 107, and Pacers would pick up their 107th all-time head-to-head win against the Wizards as well. 20 sums to 107. It also sums to 26, and Wizards would sit on 26 wins for the season as Pacers pick up their 107th all-time head-to-head win against the Wizards. And those would be some numbers for the Pacers to win this game. If the Wizards were going to win this game, you can say that the Wizards could get their 27th win for the season and their 27th road game for the season. Wizards could become 12-15 on the road with the win, which is the date for the Hebrew religious side, the 15th of the 12th month. Wizards would sit on 30 losses with a win. Today does have 40-date numerology. 40 does sum to 30. Pacers, this is their 61st game for the season. 61 written out sums to 41, and it sums to 40. But in their 61st game, they can get their 41st loss, and Pacers would get their 18th home loss to go with. 61 is the 18th prime number. And then, of course, also 40-date numerology on the Gregorian. 40 written out sums to 84. Wizards can get their 84th regular season head-to-head win against the Pacers. Okay, let's keep it moving. Nets versus the Knicks. All right, starting with the home team, the Knicks. If the Knicks were going to win this game, one thing that you can say is it's a revenge narrative for the Knicks. This is the second of 4 head-to-head matches between these two teams for the season. The Nets won the first one, so Knicks could be looking to get revenge and even the score 1-1 head-to-head against the Nets for the season. This is the Nets' 31st away game for the season, 31 the 11th prime number. They can sit on 30 wins for the season and Knicks' 30th home game. Knicks can get their 14th home win as Nets get their 14th road loss. If you write out 14, it sums to 40, as I've already shown you. And today has 40-date numerology on the Gregorian. Nets, they can get their 28th loss for this season. Today is the 15th day of the 6th month on the Hebrew civil calendar. If you write out the number 28, it sums to 156. Also, if you write out the number 33, it sums to 156. And Knicks would sit on 33 losses regular season as a team with the win. And with Nets getting their 28th loss, the Knicks could become 107 all-time head-to-head against the Nets with the win. 107 mathematically is the 28th prime number. And so those could be the numbers for the Knicks to win this game. If the Nets were going to win this game, one thing that you can say is it's the Knicks' 30th home game. It's the Nets' 31st away game, 30-31. Nets can go from 30 to 31 wins for this season. Nets can pick up their 103rd regular season head-to-head win against the Knicks today with 24-date numerology on the Gregorian. If you write out 24, it sums to 103. I didn't really see anything much for the Knicks getting their 34th loss. I might be missing something, but let's just type it out again just in case. 34. Oh, okay. The 160, that could be potentially what it is. Today does have 160 date numerology on the Hebrew civil, as well as 103 date numerology on the Hebrew civil. 34 sums to 160, and Knicks can get their 34th loss for the season as Nets get that 103rd regular season head-to-head win against the Knicks. So this 103 has a Gregorian connection here for 24-date numerology, as well as it just being 103-date numerology on the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. Let's keep it moving. The Kings versus the Bulls. So the home team, if the Bulls are going to win this game, they can get their 38th win for this season as they pick up their 23rd home win for this season. If you actually write out the number 23, 23 sums to 163, the 38th prime number. And today is the 163rd day of the Hebrew civil calendar. And so Bulls can get their 38th win. They can get their 23rd home win. 23 sums to 163, the 38th prime number. Kings would get their 38th loss for the season to go with. Today does have 40-date numerology on the Gregorian. 40 sums to 84. Bulls could pick up their 84th regular season head-to-head win against the Kings to go with as well. And it's their first head-to-head matchup between these two. Kings, this is their 60th game. Today has 60-date numerology on the Gregorian. I have the 27 marked. I'm trying to figure out what oh yeah, the 24-date numerology on the Gregorian. 24 sums to 103, the 27th prime number. We also can say 103-date numerology on the Hebrew civil side. 103 sums to 27, or 103 is the 27th prime. Kings coach can get his 27th loss regular season as a coach for the Kings. Now, if the Kings were going to win this game, it's the same exact numbers for the Bulls. How the Bulls can get their 38th win, their 23rd home win. Well, for the Kings, they can simply just get their 23rd win for the season. 23 sums to 163. Today is the 163rd day of the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. On top of that, it's the 165th regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams. And Kings come into this game with a 22-37 record for the season. 22 sums to 165, just like 37 sums to 165, this being the 165th regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams. The Bulls, however, could become 37-22 for a season record with a loss. Both 37 and 22 sum to 165. And then Bulls would sit on 22 home wins with the loss to go with. Bulls would actually become 22-9 at home for the season with the loss, and 229 or 229 is the 50th prime number. Today with 24-date numerology, 24 sums to 50. Let's go to the Trailblazers and the Grizzlies. Trailblazers and the Grizzlies start with the home team. If the Grizzlies were going to win this game, one thing that we can say is today does have 24-date numerology on the Gregorian, the 47th day of the Gregorian year. I've already shown you that if you write out 47, it sums to 149, the 35th prime number. Trailblazers could become 24-35 for a season record with a loss. They would also pick up their 19th road loss to go with. If you write out the number 19, it sums to 40. Today with 40-date numerology on the Gregorian. The Grizzlies, they're sitting on 47 all-time head-to-head wins against the Blazers. Today is the 47th day of the Gregorian year. However, they could pick up their 48th all-time head-to-head win. And it seems kind of silly, but 48, believe it or not, written out also sums to 47. So they can bounce from 47 to 48 all-time head-to-head wins against Blazers. And Grizzlies, they can pick up their 44th regular season head-to-head win against the Blazers. Today is a day leaving 44 left on the Hebrew religious side of the calendar. This is the fourth and last head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Grizzlies could be looking to even the score 2-2, like 22 head-to-head against the Blazers. Get some revenge. There's a revenge narrative there. On the flip side, though, for the Blazers, if the Blazers were going to win this game, this is the 30th home game for the Grizzlies. Grizzlies coach comes in with 113 regular season wins for his career. 113 mathematically is the 30th prime number. He can sit there on that 113 number in their 30th home game with a loss. Grizzlies would get their 19th loss for the season, and as I already said, the word 19 sums to 40 today with 40-date numerology on the Gregorian. And then we can say Grizzlies sits on 47 all-time head-to-head wins against the Blazers on the 47th day of the Gregorian year. And Grizzlies would sit on 20 home wins with a loss. If you write out the number 20, it sums to 55. Blazers would get their 55th regular season head-to-head win against the Grizzlies. And 1331. I didn't see any 11 connections or 13 connections here. But let's keep it moving. Raptors versus Timberwolves. Raptors versus the Timberwolves. If the Timberwolves are going to win this game, I don't have a whole lot marked here now that I look at it. Raptors, interestingly enough, if I can talk, come into this game 15-12 on the road with the record, and that's what today is, the 15th day of the 12th month on the Hebrew religious side of the calendar. It doesn't really help me with a winner or loser. Either one of these two teams can pick up their 32nd win for the season, so it doesn't really help. Whatever 32 connection I can find, it doesn't really help because either one of these two can pick up their 32nd win for the season. Timberwolves, though, their coach comes in with 47 wins. He could get his 48th win regular season for his career. I already talked about this in the last game. Today, the 47th day of the Gregorian year. However, if you write out the number 47, or if you write out the number 48, it sums to 47. And so Timberwolves coach can get his 48th win. 48 sums to 47. This is his 100th regular season game for his career. 100 mathematically has a square root of the number 10. Timberwolves would sit on 10 home losses with a win as they become 1-0 head-to-head against the Raptors for the season, like the number 10. Could be a 10 thing going on there. But that's all what I really have for the Timberwolves. I don't have much other than that. Well, actually, one last thing. It's the 59th game. I'll mark this in a dark blue. It's the 59th game for the Timberwolves, and they can get their 17th all-time head-to-head win against the Raptors. 59 is the 17th prime number. But if the Raptors were going to win this game, they have some numbers in their favor here. It is the 28th away game for the Raptors. It is the 28th home game for the Timberwolves. Today is the 15th day of the 6th month on the Hebrew Civil. If you write out the number 28, it sums to 156. Timberwolves can get their 28th loss for the season in the 51st all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams, as well as it being the Raptors' 57th game for the season. 28 sums to 156, it sums to 57, and it sums to 51. And so that, in a nutshell, is what I would say would favor the Raptors to win this game. 57th game, 51st all-time, 28th away, 28th home, 28 sums to 57, 51, and 156. Timberwolves can get their 28th loss for the season. And then you could say the Timberwolves coach would sit on 47 wins regular season for his career with a loss on the 47th day of the Gregorian. Timberwolves would sit on 31 wins for the season as they get their 11th home loss for the season, 31 the 11th prime number. Instead of Timberwolves getting their 17th all-time head-to-head win against the Raptors in their 59th game, 59 the 17th prime number, Timberwolves can simply just sit on 17 home wins with a loss as they get their 11th home loss, sitting on 31 wins for the season, 31 the 11th prime number. Let's move it to the Spurs and the Thunder. 4 more games to go here. Spurs and the Thunder. Start with the home team, the Thunder. If the Thunder was going to win this game, this is their coach's 130th regular season game for his career. He could pick up his 41st regular season win in his 130th regular season game. The reason why I say that is because 19, if you write out the number 19, it sums to 41, 130, and 40. Today does have a 40 date numerology on the Gregorian. I've showed you that. But the Thunder, they can pick up their 19th win for the season in their coach's 130th regular season game as he goes from 40 to 41 wins regular season for his career. 19 sums to 41, 130, and 40. That could be the narrative for the Thunder. The Spurs, they would get their 37th loss for the season in their 30th away game for the season. And if you write out the number 30, it sums to 37. That could be a connection there for that. Today does have 60 date numerology on the Gregorian. 60 sums to 97. Thunder would get their 97th all-time head-to-head win against the Spurs to go with. And I think that's all I have for that one. For the Spurs, if the Spurs were going to win this game, today does have 40 date numerology on the Gregorian. Thunder could get their 40th loss for the season as their coach sits on 40 wins regular season for his career. 40, 40, 40 date numerology. Today is the 163rd day of the Hebrew civil side of the calendar, and Spurs can get their 23rd win for the season. 23 written out sums to 163. And it's the third of 4 games between these two teams. Either one of these teams can become 2-1 head-to-head against the other for the season. However, the Spurs, they can pick up their 12th road win as Thunder fall 1-2 head-to-head against the Spurs with the Spurs win. So that can kind of connect the two together there. And then the Thunder can get their 40th loss, can get their 19th home loss to go with their 40th loss for the season as their coach sits on 40 wins for the season. We know that the number 19 written out sums to 40 today with 40 date numerology on the Gregorian. The Rockets and the Suns. Start with the Suns, the home team. If the Suns were going to win this game, today is the 47th day of the Gregorian year. But I've already talked about this before. Suns can go from 47 to 48 wins for the season. If you write out the number 48, it sums to 47. Today has 24 date numerology on the Gregorian, as well as 60 date numerology, and the number 60 sums to 97. The Rockets can get their 24th road loss for the season as their coach gets his 97th loss regular season for his career. This is the Suns' 30th home game for the season. And the Suns can become 3-0, like 30, head-to-head against the Rockets with the win. And if the Suns do go ahead and get their 48th win for the season, like I've said, 48 does sum to 47, today being the 47th day of the Gregorian. But 48 also sums to 133. And the Suns coach would get his 133rd regular season win as a coach for the Suns to go with. What else? I think that's all I have for this one, for the Suns side. If the Rockets were going to win this game, a little bit more difficult. I didn't find a whole lot for them, but it is the Suns' 30th home game. Yes, they could become 3-0 head-to-head against the Rockets for the season. But at the same time, if the Suns do lose this game, they would sit on 113 regular season head-to-head wins against the Rockets. 113 is the 30th prime number. 823. I know 823 is the 143rd prime. Just got to find out what would connect with that. 1641. Let's see if that has any number properties. 1641. I mean, one thing I can say is today is the 15th day of the 6th month on the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. And the Rockets coach, he can get his 33rd win regular season for his career. 33 sums to 156. It also sums to 60 today with 60 date numerology on the Gregorian. So that can help out the Rockets coach right there. We'll mark it in a cantaloupe color. But if that were to happen, the Rockets would get their 16th win for the season as well to go with. And I'm going to mark this in a dark blue. And I'm going to mark this 96 in a dark blue. Because if we write out the number 16, 16 sums to 96, and it also sums to 33. So the Rockets, in essence, could get their 16th win for the season as their coach becomes 33-96 regular season for his career. The number 16 written out sums to 33 and 96. Rockets would sit on 23 road losses with the win. We know 23 sums to 163, today being the 163rd day of the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. And that might be it for this one. Let's keep it moving. Nuggets versus the Warriors. Start with the home team. If the Warriors were going to win this game, one thing that we can say is it's the 32nd away game for the Nuggets. It's the 32nd home game for the Warriors. Nuggets come into this game with 32 wins for the season where they can stay with the loss. Nuggets coach would get his 300th loss regular season for his career on a day with 24 date numerology. 300 mathematically It's the 24th triangular number. It's the 59th game for the Warriors, and they can get their 43rd win for the season. If we write out 43, 43 sums to 59. So on their 59th game, they get their 43rd win. And this is a revenge game potentially. It's the second of 4 games between these two teams, but Nuggets won the first game, so Warriors could be looking for revenge here to even the score 1-1 head-to-head. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. And the Warriors, they can go ahead and pick up their 89th all-time head-to-head win against the Nuggets. 89, the 24th prime number. Today with 24 date numerology on the Gregorian, as the Nuggets coach gets his 300th regular season loss for his career, which is the 24 triangular number. This being the second of 4 head-to-head matchups between these two teams, kind of like the number 24. If the Nuggets were going to win this game, Nuggets can simply just pick up their 33rd win for the season. We know that 33 written out sums to 60 date numerology on the Gregorian. We also know that the number 33 written out sums to 156, and it's the 15th day of the 6th month on the Hebrew Civil. So they could just go ahead and get that 33rd win. I'm going to actually mark it in a cantaloupe color to make it a little bit different. Warriors, they could get their 43rd win in their 59th game. 43 sums to 59. However, 59 also is the 17th prime number, and Warriors could just go ahead and get their 17th loss for the season. And Warriors would sit on 26 home wins for the season with the loss, as the Nuggets get their 101st all-time head-to-head win against the Warriors, 101, the 26th prime number. Nuggets would become 2-0 head-to-head against the Warriors for the season, like 20. And if you write out the number 20, it also sums to 26. Last game on the board, the Lakers versus the Jazz. The Lakers versus the Jazz. Hold on one second. All right, so let's start with the home team, the Lakers. If the Lakers were going to win this game, one thing that I would say is they can sit on 31 losses for the season with the win in their 31st home game for the season. 31 could be the connection here. 31 is the 11th prime number. Lakers coach would get his 121st regular season win as a coach for the Lakers. 121 mathematically has a square root of an 11. So they can sit on 11 losses in the 31 losses in their 31st home game, as their coach gets that 121, which has a square root of 11. Outside of that, though, I didn't have a whole lot marked for this game. It is the 222nd all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. The Jazz could go ahead and get their 22nd. Here, we'll just mark this in a dark blue. Jazz could go ahead and get their 22nd loss for the season, as their coach gets his 253rd loss regular season for his career, which is the 22nd triangular number. So it could be a 2-2-2 thing, 222nd all-time. Jazz get their 22nd loss. Their coach gets his 253rd loss, the 22nd triangular number. 7-1, 2-0. If Jazz do lose this game, they would end their 6-game winning streak. If we write out the number 6, 6 sums to 16, and it also sums to 20. And if Jazz do end up losing their 6-game winning streak, they would also become 16-16 on the road with a loss. 6 sums to 16, as well as 6 sums to 20, and Lakers would become 2-0, like 20 head-to-head against the Jazz to go with. On the flip side, though, if the Jazz was going to win this game, today is the 16th of February, written 16/2 or 2/16. It's the Jazz coach's 612th game regular season for his career, anagrams of each other. With the 2-2-2 thing, in regards to the 2-2-2, 220 all-time, Jazz can get their 22nd loss, 253rd loss for the coach, 22nd triangular. If that doesn't happen and Jazz win, you can just say the 79 could have played a part. Jazz could pick up their 79th regular season head-to-head win against the Lakers. 79 is the 22nd triangular number, or excuse me, 22nd prime number. This is the Jazz at 32nd away game for the season. This is the Lakers at 31st home game. Lakers can go from 31 to 32 losses for the season. 37. Jazz can get their 17th road win as they get their 37th win for the season. 17 written out does sum to 37. And then on top of that, the Jazz would get their 7th win in a row as they get their 17th road win, as they get their 37th win for the season. And the number 17 mathematically is the 7th prime number. So I think that's about it. And then the Lakers would get their 14th loss for the season, or 14th home loss for the season. Today with 40 date numerology on the Gregorian, 14 sums to 40. So that about does it for all 11 games. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully this wasn't too long of a video. It's definitely going to be longer than my other videos. I mean, it's 11 games. I tried not to spend too much time on each one, but at the same time, I did want to give enough information for you guys to look over. Again, hopefully this helps. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the support. I wish you guys the best of luck on all your picks today. Plenty of games on the board to choose from. Keep in mind, though, tomorrow is the last day for NBA when they head into the NBA All-Star Weekend, and then NBA will be off until Thursday of next week. So with that in mind, with these games today and the games tomorrow, a lot of the superstars, a lot of the big NBA names are not really showing out, are not really balling out, because they're just saving their energy for the All-Star game for the weekend and their vacation. So they're not really like these games today and these games tomorrow. We might see a whole lot of like second stringers and like bench players being played, whereas the All-Stars are probably sitting out, resting, getting ready to go on vacation, things like that. So keep that in mind too. That's why we've been seeing some controversial upsets this week, is some of the stars are just not playing, knowing that they're getting ready to go on vacation for a week. So nobody wants to ball out and get hurt right before going on vacation. So keep that in mind. But I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate the support. Wish you guys the best of luck. Hopefully you win all the money in the world. And I'll see you in the next video.